creepy TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
I wish this was fake, but residents near America's most popular berry farms report a 38% higher incidence of childhood cancer. Santa Cruz County is the heart of California's $3 billion strawberry industry and home to Driscoll's world headquarters. And coincidentally, it also has the second highest childhood cancer rate of any county in California. At 22.5 childhood cancers per 100,000 children, the rate is more than 38% above the statewide average of 16. Over 5,000 acres of pesticides linked to those same cancers are sprayed in the Pajaro Valley every year to grow 40% of California's strawberry. And worst of all, it's often next to schools and homes where children spend most of their time. And according to the latest data, over 2 million pounds of pesticides were applied in just this school district's area alone. Many speculate the toxicity is so high because Driscoll's reportedly applies 2 different pesticides together. One of them is officially listed by the state as a carcinogen, and the other was originally deployed as a chemical weapon in World War I, and it's so toxic that it kills or disables test animals before scientists can even test it long term. And then we wonder why all the kids are getting cancer. I used to not think twice about grocery store brands, but ever since I found local and seasonal fruit growers on Localize, I have never looked back. Do not trust major corporations to do the right thing.
Boycott. They can't sell if you don't buy.
Birth control was a massive scam designed to destroy women's natural fertility, mess up their ability to connect with good men, and collapse birth rates. And only the elite know the real truth. Here's everything they're not telling you. They sold it as women's liberation and freedom, but the real agenda was far darker. They knew synthetic hormones would disrupt ovulation, alter attraction patterns, and create long-term hormonal chaos. They wanted women in the workforce to double the tax base. They wanted to break the traditional family unit. They wanted to lower birth rates in Western countries. The results are exactly what they planned. Women now suffer record levels of anxiety, depression, and mood disorders. They often become more attractive to softer, less masculine men. Infertility rates have skyrocketed as women delay motherhood for years, then struggle when they finally want to have children. Birth rates in the West have collapsed below replacement level. This wasn't about empowerment. This was social engineering at the highest level. The Rockefeller Foundation and other elite networks heavily funded the development and promotion of the birth control pill. They work with Planned Parenthood and globalist organizations to push it worldwide as a tool for population control. A hormonally imbalanced, emotionally unstable, career-focused woman is much easier to sell to and control. She's less likely to build a strong family. She's more likely to stay dependent on the system. They flooded society with birth control while simultaneously pushing feminism, career culture, and you don't need a man propaganda. It's the perfect system. Weaken men, confuse and exhaust women, break the family. Create a population that is easier to govern and more profitable for corporations and governments. They sold it as progress and freedom. In reality, they used birth control as one of the most effective silent weapons ever deployed against humanity, chemically and culturally dismantling natural roles between men and women. Now, millions of women are dealing with the long-term consequences while being told it's all their choice. This is one of the greatest social engineering operations in modern history. Wake up, this shit is rigged. If you want to learn how I make 6 figures each month off of content, like this video and follow my page for more.
The biggest way that they're accessing children is through the schools. The other assets are those that they consider expendable. And these are the children that they're going to first sexually exploit. When they can no longer be used for sex anymore, then they're going to, satanically, ritually kill or cannibalize those children. And people will pay money to do that. And then after they're done with that, they'll incinerate those children, their remains, and turn them into diamonds. And those diamonds they'll sell, on the black market, or they'll keep as trophy diamonds. Then whatever ashes remain, they'll curse, and they sell to our pharmacia and our food companies for filler. Then also internationally, we would be trafficked to military bases or other ritual grounds.
Wow, this is evil, man. Oh, the mouse place also has many missing children. Endless supply.
Have discovered a $10 food that could help clear up to 87% of plastics from your body. The food is kimchi, or really one specific strain of bacteria.
I love kimchi.
living in it. Its cell wall has functional groups that physically grab nanoplastic particles, binding 87% in a dish. In a simulated human gut, it held onto 57%, while a different strain of the same bacteria managed just 3%. They then tested it in germ-free mice, and the ones given the kimchi bacterium excreted more than 2 times the nanoplastics in their stool versus controls. The catch is that this was polystyrene nanoplastics in germ-free mice and not humans, and the effect is tied to just one strain, not to kimchi in general. And unfortunately, you can't buy CBA 3656 just yet. The exact strain that bound to the nanoplastics isn't on any label yet, but the species it belongs to is naturally common in real fermentation. So your best bet is to aim for kimchi most likely to be alive with it, aka kimchi that is refrigerated and sold cold, labeled raw, naturally fermented, unpasteurized, or live cultures. Doesn't use vinegar as the souring agent, and short, simple ingredient list. Accessing the strain isn't widely available, but it's still one of the earliest approaches shown to actively remove nanoplastics out of your gut.
Well, it's interesting too what you're saying about the frequencies. Over the last 50 years, they've been trying to get rid of lead paint, and the lead paint will not let a lot of those waves go through the walls.
And yeah, it's interesting because 1971, first cell phone rolls out to the general public. So this is 1971.
Like the bag phone? Is that the one with the bag or something?
Yes, you get like a big mobile phone that they were giving people. Now, the military in the book Zapped was explaining they already had a cell phone in 1947. So cell phones have already been here for a long time. That's people who think this stuff is new has been here. So 1947 military cell phone, 1971 general public has a cell phone. 1974 to 1975, you have lead paint being banned. And so if you think about it, when you need to use this technology now that you're now giving to the public and you're going to now sell them, you need to get rid of the thing that can get the barriers.
Because your phone would not work in a house with lead paint.
Yes, this is why when people buy older homes, they're like, I got no service. So you got the paint, right, which is blocking one thing. And then you got the pipes, which are copper or lead. So you have a complete Faraday cage. So this is why in today, 2026, so people are aware, this is why the government is out there trying to pay people to get them to get rid of their copper pipes or their lead pipes or whatever else. They got this whole petition where they're paying people to switch them to plastic. Why would you switch them to plastic? So you can get those waves to go in their house and then you can watch them. And this has been all shown. This is why I have no wireless. I have nothing. I have no Alexa, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. There's no wireless anything in my house, because there's no reason to bring it into your place. It's just surveillance, and they all just wanted something to come in, but lead paint was attacked for this reason. Because I've realized that the government only goes after the things that can be a solution for you.
And in the ancient days, in Rome and Egypt and Spain and all over the world, South America, those cultures collected urine. It was extremely valuable. One of the beautiful things about urine is the anti-aging ability of it. It has been the ancient secret for centuries. Urine, urea, uric acid, all the compounds in urine, all the stem cells have been proven to be the best moisturizer. Did you know that the amniotic sac a baby lives in for 9 months is made up of almost entirely urine? You urinate a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of toxins. Urination is not considered a toxic elimination route. So, for example, if you were to go to and type in urine therapy or uropathy in medicine.net, you're going to see a dubious treatment for illness. You can go the opposite way, and you can go to DuckDuckGo, and you see the U.S. National Library of Medicine and the Institutes of Health. The golden fountain. Is urine the miracle drug no one told you about? So we are living in a war right now between communication of what is the truth, what is not the truth, what is propaganda, and to what degree of manipulation is happening in our world right now.
Would you drink your own urine, folks? Let me know in the comments.
Our station, a bunch of fruits and vegetables and bread and stuff. And I noticed we had like literally cases of it. Now we're going to throw it away. I put this out 3 days ago. Got my camera right there. 3 days ago. There's tracks all back here. I just filled the corn up again. They came to eat here, whatever. In what world Do wild animals not eat grapes and apples, especially deer? Hogs, wild hogs. We have a ton of wild hogs here. Got pictures of them. They haven't touched it. That is strange to me.
They smell and sense that wax, you know.
Not even a bird has eaten any of this.
Wow.
Nothing. That's what you're putting in your body, folks.
Why are they swapping God's given natural plants, man? Like, they're trying to swap seeds, and I don't care what nobody say. If there's fruit in nature and the animals aren't eating it, there's something going on. There's something wrong. Now, even if the animal died, it ain't gonna get it from the tree or something. If it's just on the floor and not one bite mark, nothing, that means their senses is oh, that ain't even food. Like, that ain't even for our body. Like, oh yeah, that's not it. That's a problem. Because, you know, animals, they might not be able to speak English or talk, but they're very intelligent. So if they's not eating the fruits, why should you? Now, that's not an excuse to go eat McDonald's neither.
Notice no soot, no burning on nearly any of these photos. Brick is just completely turned to rubble. People standing around posing like they're on vacation in very well-to-do attire. No soot or dirtiness on any of their clothes. Their undershirts are pure white. They even got their little bowler hats and top hats, right? And that's very odd. I mean, look at this. Telephone pole spared. This whole palace-like building completely turned to rubble. None of it makes sense when you look at any of these great fire photos. Again, trees completely spared, utility poles completely spared. This building is in complete rubble. No signs of soot, fire damage, scorching at all in nearly any of these photos, right? I mean, what was on fire in this
Earthquakes, maybe?
photo at all? It just looks like a bomb went off, like some kind of seismic charge, some kind of reset event. And all these well-dressed people you see popping all around here, these little carriages, they're the inheritors rolling into the scenes of these cities in ruin.
We have
Directed energy weapons were probably used then too.
some breaking news from Canada that might be a warning for the rest of the world. You might never drink milk the same way again. First, we had 3D printed
Come
meat,
on, man.
then fish. Now, Health Canada just quietly approved milk that doesn't come from a cow, it comes from a lab. Last month, Canada gave a company called Remilk the green light to sell animal-free dairy. But this isn't almond milk or goat milk. What they do is take the exact same DNA sequence that tells a cow how to make milk protein, copy it, insert it into microbes like yeast, and from there they can make milk, cheese, yogurt, basically everything. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. If this takes off, it could wipe out real dairy farms globally. Thousands of family farms rely on milk production, so you wonder what the motivation here is. Once lab dairy scales, big companies will control the entire supply chain, production, pricing, and most people won't even know they're drinking lab milk because it looks real, it tastes real, it has the same protein content as cow's milk. This is why it's so important to share this so your friends and family know what's happening to their food. People deserve to know what's been hidden from them.
They cannot scale if no one buys this. Oh, by the way, I drink raw goat milk. Good for you.
Are those flowers? Обрабатывает, она говорит, ну, этот нормальный-то, а вот этот вообще вот такое впечатление еще в этом химии. Чем больше химии, ребята, будет, тем будет...
Man, are you saying we cannot smell the roses anymore? This is messed up.
доходить вам цветок. Меньше химии, меньше цветка. Все, спасибо. Едем, все показал вам.
Jeez, oh man. No way. So we can't even smell the roses anymore? It's everything. It's literally everything. What have they not poisoned? It honestly might be a shorter list of things that they have not poisoned than the things that they do poison.
Everything in this world is starting to be fake, especially in America.
Came into agreement with the demonic trinity in 1973. Abortion, Moloch, animal worship, Baal, orgiastic delights, Ashtoreth. George Mason, the father of the Bill of Rights, said, as nations cannot be rewarded or punished in the next world, so they must be in this. By inevitable chain of causes and effects, providence punishes national sins by national calamities.
Okay.
The same year that we declared open season on preborn humans, we gave more legal protections to sea turtles and porpoises, which, by the way, fulfilled G.K. Chesterton's prophetic warning that wherever there is animal worship, there will be human sacrifice.
Wow.
Happened in the same year, Josh.
Gosh, that's crazy. I've never.
What else happened? The
Tell me.
Supreme Court removed their obscenity laws, thereby allowing the widespread legal distribution of pornography for the first time in American history.
That all happened in 1973?
The same year.
Jesus Christ is the only true God, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
I'll never let my baby girl sleep on one of these mattresses, or my wife again. And when you see why, you won't either. Here's how mattresses are made. They start with crude oil, the same stuff in gasoline. They heat it with toxic chemicals called isocyanates until it forms thick, bubbling liquid. That liquid gets poured in the molds where it expands into foam, baby. While it's still hot, they spray it with flame retardant, chemicals, PBDEs, antimony, boric acid, the same stuff used to kill cockroaches. The foam absorbs these chemicals like a sponge, and then they wrap it in fabric. And guess what happens next? They ship it straight to your bedroom. Now here's the problem. That foam off-gasses volatile compounds directly into your lungs for years. And those flame retardants, water-soluble, your skin absorbs them while you sweat at night. Those disrupt hormones, delay puberty in kids, damage brain development, and to make matters worse, kids absorb toxins faster than adults. The fix? Organic wool or natural latex mattresses. Detox what you're already absorbing with, my favorite thing, Organifi's Liver Reset. The reason I made this is for situations just like this. I'm Drew Canoli. Wake up and stop being poisoned now.
Humanity is finished. We cannot have nothing.
I would avoid Wagyu beef everywhere. You do not want Wagyus. They are.
What? Now Wagyu is bad too? Shish.
Sick, diseased animals. Their genetic lineage is from disease. So they were bred to marbleize their muscle. They have to feed them high amounts of carbohydrate to do that. They even feed the animals candy in some farms for the Wagyu beef. But the Wagyu cows themselves cannot breed on their own. They have to have donor moms to pregnate these cows with Wagyu fetuses because the Wagyu mother itself, it's so diseased it can't carry a baby to term. So yeah, I wouldn't purchase Wagyu even if she's grass feeding them, even if she's doing all the clean stuff. I still wouldn't eat the meat of that animal. It's been selectively bred like the banana. The banana is so far away from the wild banana, like that's Wagyu beef.
This video is going to change your freaking life, especially if you are someone very sensitive to frequencies. There's a whole bunch of frequencies happening right now all around you. You can definitely see it by all these earthquakes going on. 6 major earthquakes all in a space of 24 hours. This video is so important just because how this whole thing that's going on with these frequencies is going to be a global problem for a lot of people, even making it through their everyday life. The human frequency has been completely abnormal for about 2 years now, and chances are you're feeling it, whether you're really spaced out, really sore, really zoned out, can't go to sleep, just laying there all night, or maybe you're sleeping way too late when you finally do get to sleep. It's not just the human frequency, that's just measuring the Earth's resonance, but also bilaterally, possibly picking up other frequencies as well. But in this video you're about to see, I found a way to combat this almost 100% effectively. What I'm gonna tell you in this video, literally anybody can do. And it takes almost no effort whatsoever. And after I tell you what it is, I'll tell you why I think this works, but I absolutely know for a fact it does work. So with me personally, frequency has been an absolute nightmare. Whether it's a human frequency, the Earth's resonance, whether it's maybe X, N, Ad, Ra, figure it out. This works for literally any frequency whatsoever. So the way I discovered this was actually a complete accident, right? I started taking mineral salt in my water, just a pinch in every single bottle or glass ever. I did it because, your organs are basically salt pumps. So I did it for a completely different reason. But something really weird happened. A few days into this, all of a sudden, I was feeling great all the time, even when the human frequency was just blazing. My wife, on the other hand, was having all sorts of problems, inflammation from the frequency because all the excess electrons in the body. But for some reason, I was feeling great, not zoned out, everything was normal. And then for a few days, I stopped doing it, and all of a sudden, I could feel the full effects of the human frequency once again. So it clicked. by putting a pinch of mineral salt in your water, every glass, every bottle, whatever. And you'll also find out when you do this, if the water tastes good to you, it's because you're lacking salt in the first place. So what I'm telling you is if you salt your water, it'll render the Schumann frequency and all other frequencies completely effectiveless against your body. Before I tell you why I think this works, make sure you get this video out there, because if you are dealing with this, then a lot of people that you know are dealing with this, and you know that it's completely miserable. Okay, so why, or well, how I think this works, because I know it does work, because I'm a living testimony of it. Our bodies are electrical, right? And we've been rendered into antennas for a few years now, no matter what you do or anything else. But, you can...
Food is going into a direction most people have no clue. The new pyramid just came out from RFK. On the top of the pyramid now is meat and dairy, encouraging people to eat red meat and poultry. If every American ate chicken 3 times a day, you would literally have to murder 347 million chickens a day. It's impossible to meet that demand. So what are you eating? Even watermelon be flimsy, like to the point where you can bend it like this. Every part of the system benefits when you are sick. And the reason why people are so sick is because of the food. My biggest advice to people, make a friend with a farmer. Support them to the point where they don't have to spray their crops with pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, which we know are carcinogenic. Because I'm just trying to tell you, it doesn't matter if you eat plant-based or you even a carnivore. It's impossible to meet the demand for the amount of Americans that exist today.
Yeah, man, no one eats 3 meals a day, not even athletes.
Why do all these viruses bind to the nicotine receptor?
We know that SARS-CoV-2's virus has a spike protein on it that's identical to snake venom, and that targets nicotine receptors. At the Healing for the Ages conference, I looked it up. I wanted to know, what do they know about HIV's spike protein, which it has one, and then also rabies's spike protein, which it has one. Do you know that in every single research study on HIV and rabies spike protein called a glycoprotein? Do you know that every research study for the last 20 plus years states that the rabies spike protein and HIV spike protein are homologous, meaning derived from snake venom proteins? And at the Healing for the Ages conference, we showed the whole world, I did, that the rabies virus is proven in studies to be completely cured by nicotine. And they talk about how the snake venom proteins, they call glycoproteins on HIV and rabies, which now you all know has been engineered by man. Also, those venoms target nicotine receptors, and nicotine prevents those infections. The virus, the venom, cannot bind to those receptors. I took this further. Why am I going to wear this the rest of my life? I wanted to know, is the scientific and medical community lying to me about all viruses? Like, are they not openly telling me everything and being honest? So I decided to go and look. I wanted to know, what cell receptor does the influenza virus target? Oh my God, it targets the same one all snake venom does, alpha-7 nicotine receptors. And then I looked it up. I want to know, what about hepatitis A, B, C? They all target nicotine receptors. What about measles, rubella? All of them target nicotine receptors. Every single virus, herpes simplex, the one that causes cold sores and fever blisters, which I used to get a ton as a kid, completely blocked by nicotine receptors.
Man, I'm going to start using patch. This is a question. Why natural healers use tobacco for healing?
When I learned that a king and wrote a blank check designing a typeface to portray power and to divide the ruling class from the peasant class, I realized that using tech for manipulation goes way deeper than most of us think. I'm talking about Louis XIV and the king's Roman typeface. In 1692, Louis XIV ordered a typeface designed at any cost for the exclusive use of the royal printer. This wasn't some random designer making a pretty font. This was the state engineering how to show power through print. The king knew that design, typography, and tech was the best way to rule over the masses. And that was in 1692. Imagine today, we're way beyond type fonts, and the tactics have obviously changed, but the strategy is always the same: divide and conquer.
So these guys...
Yes, it's called sigil magic.
They're saying this new method for raising beef could be even better than grass-fed, grass-finished. All Santa Clarita Beef is doing is keeping the cattle on grass, but then finishing them in an interesting way on carrots. They go through a remarkable 1 million pounds per day, yet remarkably their testing revealed none of that is metabolized into sugar, as cows are ruminant animals. Because they have a multi-chambered stomach, they're able to process this more effectively than other animals like chickens, which only have one stomach. And they scaled it up so fast because customers report a remarkable taste and flavor. But even more importantly, it's a sustainable alternative to the standard grain finishing that fattens up cows in feedlots. Another operation doing something similar is Pontius Ranches, who instead of using carrots uses juice pulp that normally would have gone to waste. This is so important for the food system because estimates show about 30% of the global food supply goes to waste. In the US, that number is closer to 40%. The more centralized the supply, the more waste. The more local it is, the more sustainability we see from these farms. This whole thing operates as a synergistic ecosystem because these cattle ranchers can source the produce from their local farmers, and then you can support all of these and engage with your local community too by either going to a farmer's market or using a tool like the localized farmer's market app.
I mean, why not? Plus, don't we put onions and carrots in our burger mix?
Median male sperm count is on track to hit 0 by 2045.
What?
A report came out, Shana Swan and Haggai Levine. It finished in 2011. And it made the case that sperm count had almost halved since the first academic reports in 1970. We got to study the data, and the results came out suggesting that the decline rate was accelerating. The decline rate this year is 2.5% a year. You don't have to be mathematically that literate to realize that a 2.5% decline in your sperm count every year is a disastrous level, a non-sustainable level.
And what is causing this?
Shana would say the environment around you of mainly plastics. Plastics are leaching toxins, and the particles of plastics you have in your brain and in your body, which we now know is quite substantial, are also leaching toxins. And these toxins are what they call endocrine disruptors. They mess with your hormones. You should expect them to lower your fertility.
Dr. Swan's projection indicates that if the current rate of decline continues unchecked,
this is so important. No one is talking about this.
Same bag turns up on opposite sides of the world, 11,000 years apart, and the man holding it is wearing a fish. Göbekli Tepe, Assyria, ancient Mexico, where no one could have met. We couldn't explain it for centuries. The Assyrians already had. We just never read the rest. The bag is a bucket of holy water. The cone blesses a sacred tree. The wristwatch is a bracelet. A priest, not a machine. Same shape everywhere. A bag with a handle is the oldest tool we have. Everyone invents it, except the first. The three at Göbekli Tepe, we still can't read. We solved the handbag. We just can't solve the ones who started it.
Alright, I'm gonna try my absolute hardest to not get this video taken down. But this might be one of the sickest people I've ever covered, and that's saying something. Extreme warning, to put this in perspective, Netflix would never be approved to make a monster show on this guy. I'm gonna do my best to go through the whole case and not censor out everything. This is Robert Berdella, and in the 80s he came to be known as the Kansas City Butcher. Robert would kidnap fully grown men with his intention of making somebody a fully loyal sex slave. Usually streetwalkers or addicts, he would bring them back to his house, supply them with illegal substances, and once they passed out, inject them with tranquilizers and then tie them to a bed in the basement. Once there, he would torture them for hours a day, putting needles in very sensitive places, electrocuting them, essaying them, and trying to destroy their senses, such as their sight, the ability to move their hands, and the ability to speak. I don't even think I could show this picture. I can't say the specifics on how he tried to do these things, but it was extremely brutal. The longest somebody stayed in captivity was 6 weeks, with this happening every single day. They died in horrific ways, and not because he intended to do so, because he didn't realize how brutal he was. One of his victims died from internal bleeding and rupturing in a certain orifice. Whenever this happened, he would drain the body, dismember it, and then bury them in the backyard. His final victim is the one who got away. He tried gaining trust with Robert to where during the day he would have his hands tied in front of him and not behind his back. When Robert was at work, he was able to get a book of matches that he left on the table, and then he burnt the restraints off himself. He then proceeded to jump from the second-story window, breaking his foot. He was naked, wearing nothing but a dog collar. He was screaming for somebody to call the cops, who eventually came. They found him with scars and welts all throughout his body from what Robert had been doing to him. Inside, police found skeletal parts, objects, devices, blood-filled trash cans. They also found 334 Polaroid pictures of his victims depicting what he was doing to them and then them after their death. Police were horrified on how meticulously planned everything was, including him logging every aspect of what he did to his victims. He confessed to everything, but during his trial, he blamed the police for not catching him after his first victim and then blamed the media for demonizing him. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 1988, but died in 1992 of a heart attack.
Ooh. I think he was Jeffrey Dahmer before Jeffrey.
Meta just fired 1,100 people who exposed what they were doing with the Ray-Ban footage on 6 days' notice. Quick context, if you purchased Meta smart glasses, the footage you recorded, everything you saw around you got sent to a contractor in Kenya called Sama. 1,100 workers doing 10-hour shifts, sitting there labeling what was on your camera so Meta's AI models could get better. Back in February, Swedish journalists started investigating this matter, and the workers told them what they were actually watching. People having intimacy, people in bathrooms, naked, kids, credit card numbers, you name it. And last month, Meta cut their entire contract. This week, the Kenyan company Sama just announced that they're firing all 1,100 of those people. Some of them said that they've already been forced
Who saw this coming?
to sit on their desks nothing for weeks while security tied it around them after the reports started coming out. Meta says that Sama didn't meet our standards, and Sama says they consistently met all standards.
These are facts. Meta partnered with a Nairobi company called Sama, where 1,100 workers labeled what Ray-Ban smart Meta glasses actually captured. We talk about bathrooms, naked people, bank cards, children, intimate moments, all of it. In February 2026, Swedish journalists got Sama workers on the record. By May, Meta cut their contract and Sama fired all their workers and only giving them a 6-day notice. A class action was filed in Cali, and UK regulators opened up an investigation. This is actually published. Here's the part nobody's talking about. Every time you wear those glasses out, you are a camera for Meta's AI. The terms of service let them use the footage to train their models. The training does not happen in the sterile lab. It happens wherever they choose. And look, I built AI for healthcare, and every line of code I write has HIPAA on it. And that's because patient data has to be handled with rules. Phone calls, transcript, all of it. Meta is collecting more sensitive data than a hospital does, with less oversight than a hospital does. That is crazy. That is the actual scandal.
We've all seen the videos of the dead moose popping up all over in Canada, absolutely covered in thousands of ticks, and that's why they're dying. But now in Australia, these pythons and other snakes are dying because they are also covered in ticks. For the first time in history, people have never seen this before, guys. Make no mistake, it is no coincidence that we're having this massive tick outbreak just right before these big pharma companies are coming out with a new Lyme disease vaccine. This is exactly how these psychopaths operate. Engineer the problem and then come up with a solution, which in my humble opinion is just poison, by the way. Just a crazy conspiracy theorist opinion, guys. This is your friendly reminder that one chicken will actually eat an average of 81 ticks every 30 to 60 minutes. And it's no wonder why they're trying to regulate people from having chickens now. Look this up. They're actually trying to stop people from having chickens. It's no wonder, guys. So this is the solution that consciousness comes up with. I'm telling you guys right now that this world is run by psychopath pedophiles who literally poison everything. They poison our air, our food, and our water, and they try to keep us in a low state of vibration. This is why it's never been more important to take love.
Dementia is reversible. It's been proven, but you won't hear that from your neurologist. 2018 Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. Complete cognitive reversal in 100 patients. Not a slow decline, a complete reversal. So what's actually causing it? 2011 Journal of Neuroinflammation found spirochetes, the bacteria responsible for Lyme disease, in over 90% of Alzheimer's brain autopsies. These organisms form biofilm-protected colonies inside the brain, making them nearly invisible to standard testing. And here's where the infection connection gets really interesting. Beta amyloid, the plaque your neurologist blames for Alzheimer's, is actually an antimicrobial peptide. It's your brain's immune response to a hidden infection. The plaque is your brain's smoke alarm going off because there's a fire. Western medicine's solution is to rip out the smoke alarm and pray for the fire to go away. There's more to the puzzle: toxicity, inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, but I gotta go. If you've enjoyed this video and you want more content like this, click the share button. Comment the word brain and I'll send you the research.
Let's look at the reset zones and autonomous zones that people retreated to before and after resets. There are many old world buildings from the pre-colonial era that survived the resets in this region of the Midwest. The state capitol buildings in this region are amazing. This dome is real gold. No marble quarries in Iowa, but 29 types of marble in the building. The Iowa State Capitol is in the background, an amazing building, but they have dirt roads. You can see Des Moines is weathered and older than what they say. The walls they're building don't match the quality of the building. The Capitol buildings are amazing, but let's look at the small towns to really expose the true nature of America. Does this ornate basilica match the farming town of Dyersville, Iowa? 10 miles down the road in Petersburg, Iowa, we have another ornate building in a town with 70 people.
Wow.
Why do you need both of these buildings in such a small area, and do they match anything in the area? Oh, look at this castle. Actually, this is a prison in rural Fort Madison, Iowa. This is actually a self-sustaining reset survival compound that was converted into a prison. They claim this is an elementary school in remote Duluth, Minnesota. They shortened the tower. It still stands. The colonists repurposed this after they found it. It was not a school to begin with. And they claim this was a high school in Duluth, Minnesota. Does this look like a high school? Was this necessary in remote Duluth in the 1890s? This is the Plummer Building in remote Rochester, Minnesota, and it has a new facade on it, obviously. But it is still replete with gargoyles and other symbolism that doesn't match a rural farming town. And this is the inside of the building. Look, this is Frankfurt, Germany. No, actually, this is the Cathedral of St. Paul, Minnesota. Does this match a farming and fur trading town? They didn't have proper sewage systems, but this was the average house. Minnesota's Capitol building, highly ornate, just like Madison, Wisconsin, and Springfield, Illinois. And apparently a lot of these Midwest buildings were designed or influenced by a guy named Mix, who was taught by a guy named Mason Stone, if that sounds real at all. The backdrop of Des Moines is barren because this is post-reset. Look. The legend of the local lore said there was a reset called the Change where there was a year without the sun. This building supposedly opened the portal that initiated the reset. People survived in these so-called caves, which are actually melted buildings. You can see the pillars and the bricks here, just like the underground cities of Turkey. Some buildings in this area survived because it was supposedly protected by a cymatic or iron dome, an ethereal force field that the buildings were a part of and harnessed. Some survived in these compounds like this one in Duluth and this one in Wisconsin. These compounds were later repurposed as asylums in the Kirkbride plan after the reset. These zones were autonomous zones, like this Fushang autonomous zone, which was the template for the Shang autonomous zone and the epicenter for so-called China. When the harmony broke down, parasites moved in and they created their states. A parasite is a state, not a presence, and it can't exist if a space is harmonized. People of today will break off into autonomous zones and states by way of off-grid communities. Much of it will be racist or colorist. The further breakdown of the flow of communication will create a fallout type of scenario. Reset and repeat until we break the loop.
Urine is the universal vaccine. Urine is the universal antibody. Urine has over 5,000 components in it. Urine is the most highly energetic compound. They've done studies in India where they've taken a liter of someone's urine and powered a medium-sized house, and it produced 6.4 kilowatts of electricity. Wake Forest did a study on urine. They found that your urine has 140 roughly undifferentiated stem cells, mesenchymal stem cells, which can turn into any organ, right? Like these are your base stem cells. Every single one of us has drank our urine in the womb. Yep. Where do you think they get stem cells from for stem cell therapy? They get it from the placenta. They get it from the umbilical cord. They get it from the amniotic fluid. That is all urine. Why are you going to pay $25,000 for like 10,000 stem cells when you can cultivate 100 million? By the way, when you cultivate the pure stem cells, the memory is clean. There's no disease memory. There's no nothing on that because the body intuitively knows in your urine to cultivate pure, clean, original source code stem cells. It helps to regenerate you. It helps to reduce the aging process. It helps to, you put it on your skin and it helps rejuvenate your skin.
No.
If you get sick, you could use it for multiple different purposes. Now, how you do it is you give yourself mini enemas.
Man, you're gonna smell like pee if you put it on your skin.
There's a secret group of billionaires called Dialogue, started by Peter Thiel, of 200 members. The list of this group has always been kept secret.
Typical.
No one knows who's in this group.
Okay.
There's a Swiss hacker who hacked in and found the entire list of the group.
Hero.
Yes. This is wild.
Do we know what these folks meet about?
They talk about technology, finance, politics, navigating World War III.
What?
How to build a cult.
What?
Here's some of the people that are on the list. Jared Kushner, Ted Cruz, Elon Musk, Eric Schmidt, Rick Warren.
Whoa. The pastor of how?
Rick Warren. Not surprised.
Purpose-driven? Purpose-driven life?
Saddleback Church.
What?
how to build a cult, and he's going to that?
Yeah, they did not plan for this list to get out.
They have religious people, atheist people, Democrats, Republicans, those that are pro AI, those that are against AI, all meeting together to discuss things about how to run the world. And it's super creepy.
Yeah, that is creepy.
What are we supposed to do with that?
But this is one I do have that I can pull up on Google, and it's the 1934 case where a dragon fell from the sky. And I believe, this was in China as well. And here's one of the pictures of it, skeleton.
Yeah, so I remember seeing that picture.
And I looked into this case and I thought it was kind of compelling. There's a whole article here where they go through and talk to people who are still alive, who remember this. It's a thunderous scream shattered the tranquility of the farmland in Tangzutai, a small town in Yingkou, Liaoning province. It was early July 1934, and a dragon had just fallen from the sky. Locals claim that they had seen a magnificent creature with 2 horns, and you see in the picture, it looks like it has horns, razor-sharp claws, scales, all adorning a 10-meter-long body, exactly how dragons in Chinese are depicted in ancient paintings. To protect the legendary being from sweltering weather, bystanders poured water over it and constructed a shelter out of rush mats to keep it in the shade. Monks were invited to perform a religious rite in hopes of aiding the creature's recovery, but the dragon vanished after a few days of heavy rain.
Why am I just finding out that if you freeze a watermelon, grate it into a bowl, put a little lime and a little honey on it, you have just made the best ice cream that money could buy? But here's what nobody's talking about.
Man, I'm going to try it. It looks delicious.
What this is actually doing in your body when you eat it. Did you know that watermelon is the single richest food source of L-citrulline on the planet? L-citrulline converts to L-arginine in your kidneys, which your body uses to produce nitric oxide, the molecule that literally relaxes and dilates your blood vessels. Lower blood pressure, improves circulation with faster recovery. It's also the highest source of lycopene of any fruit or vegetable on Earth. Lycopene is a carotenoid that obliterates free radicals and protects your cells from oxidative damage at the membrane level. Add the raw honey, you get the antimicrobial enzymes and the natural prebiotics. Add a little lime to it. This is the Candida crusher, the fungus killer, which makes the lycopene more bioavailable, and your body literally absorbs more of it when you squeeze the citrus on it. Add honey and lime. It's good for your soul and it's good for your body, baby. I'm Drew Canoli. Share your ideas for a cleaner summer in the comments below.
100 years ago, organic food was just food. Grass-fed beef was just beef. Raw milk was just milk. Dieting was just eating. Sugar was just fruit. Filtered water was just water. And baby food was just breast milk. Fast forward to today, and there are over 10,000 chemicals in our food. 90% of what's in a grocery store didn't even exist 90 years ago. Is it me, or is it fucking insane that we have to pay more to avoid poison in our food? It's time we make food food again.
You know, you being healthy are worth nothing. You being sick make you an asset.
Aloe is a massive marketing scam and psyop designed to make women buy overpriced synthetic toxic clothes. And only the elite know the real truth. Here's everything they're not telling you. They push $100 leggings and $150 tops as must-have wellness gear. Influencers in perfect lighting showing off their Aloe lifestyle. The whole brand screams luxury and status, but here's the scam. Most of their clothes are made with cheap synthetic materials full of microplastics and endocrine disruptors that leach into your skin during workouts. These chemicals are linked to hormonal imbalance, infertility, inflammation, and long-term health issues. They use scarcity marketing and influencer contracts to create artificial demand. They make women feel like they're not enough unless they own the right set of expensive activewear. This isn't about wellness. This is about keeping women insecure, spending, and chasing an image through consumerism. But here's the deeper rabbit hole. This is part of the larger wellness industry psyop. They tie self-worth to logos and synthetic clothes instead of real health, discipline, and natural beauty. They sold it as empowerment, but in reality, it's just another tool to keep women consuming and comparing instead of building real value. You gotta stop buying the lie and stop worrying about the logo that's on your pants while you're working out. I built an Instagram page to 1 million followers in 3 weeks and made over 200K in 1 month, all using AI. Follow if you want to learn exactly how I did it.
So apparently skin cancer isn't caused by the sun because it actually might come from your diet. In 1988, Australian researchers took hairless mice and they split them up into 2 groups. Same calories, same UV light exposure. The only difference? The fat that they ate. Group 1 ate polyunsaturated bad fats, right? Call them what they are. Seed oil, soybean oil, canola oil, you know the stuff on every processed processed food shelf. After UV exposure, they started developing skin tumors. Group 2 ate saturated good fats. Think butter, tallow, real fats. Same UV light, zero tumors. Now get this. It seems that the sun isn't to blame for skin cancer, but it's our diets. And here's the science behind why that's true. Polyunsaturated bad fats are fragile. And when UV light hits your skin, it oxidizes those fats in your cellular membranes. That oxidation creates free radicals, damages your DNA, and triggers tumor formation. Saturated or good fats are stable. They don't oxidize. So your cells, they do what cells do. They stay intact. We've been told to avoid the sun and load up on seed oils for quote-unquote heart health. Turns out we had it backwards. If you want to know more timeless ways to reverse your skin's age and to protect your skin from the inside out, follow for more.
The biggest focus of the initiate in ancient traditions was how to handle the moments directly after death. They all say the same thing globally throughout all time periods, except for today. The doubt of there being a world after bodily death is brand new. The doubt is a product sold by the new materialist flat reality dogma, thanks to the Maxwell education lie we've all been fed. So what should we be ready for after death? Initiation showed the candidates how to navigate safely post-death. Basically, the vegetable part of the human verb is responsible for storing memory. It detaches from the human vessel as the body breaks down, causing a sort of life review. What is left behind is the animal body, or the cube, so to speak. This vegetable part of man today might be equated to our plasmatic life force, the electricity that makes us on. It leaves the cube and passes into the sublunar sphere. Keep in mind, to us that seems like literally distance through space, but the ancient traditions knew that all things are directly entangled. Now at the sublunar sphere, it is attacked by entities who tear away or eat anything unpure. This is a painful process that must be endured for as long as it takes. Here's the thing. Each and every tradition in its own way makes clear that these are not actually demons. We might be fooled though by how much it hurts. This right here is the main key. Just simply knowing that. These ancient cultures didn't have the internet to trade ideas, and all came back with the same notion. If you are carrying regret and attachment owed to the cube when entering the sublunar sphere, you will be too heavy to pass through the subtle celestial spheres outside the density of samsara. Gravity is fitting to get you, and your electrical vegetable personhood sinks back into the cube to address that unfinished business. This is literal reincarnation. Not so mystical as much as practical. That's where we get tricky. Remember the initial part about memory? Well, that information is far too frail to survive being reabsorbed by another body of flesh. So we live another life and gather more attachments. Unless, of course, we go through initiation. That is the same painful process, but before we die. Meister Eckhart said, if you fight your death, you'll get demons. If you have the right attitude toward death, you realize that the devils are really angels setting your spirit free. Okay, guys, so life after death can't be summed up in 2 minutes.
That's crazy.
I have 2 hour-long deep dives linked below.
Patients without them even knowing. Well, something very alarming is happening inside the medical system, and most people have no idea. The word vaccine is quietly disappearing from hospital consent forms. Instead, it's being replaced with a broad, vague category called biologics or biogenics. Under this new classification, a hospital can technically administer vaccines or other biological products without you ever giving explicit consent. Insiders are reporting that new surgical and hospital consent forms don't list specific treatments anymore. They don't say vaccine, they don't say injection, they simply say biologics or biogenics, a category so wide it can include almost anything made from living organisms and their byproducts. And what's the scariest part? Most people sign these forms without even reading them because they trust the system, because they're in pain, overwhelmed, or seconds away from being put under anesthesia. So now you have a setup where a patient can go in for a routine procedure, sign a consent form filled with vague terminology, go unconscious, and wake up having received something they never directly approved. No medical system should ever be allowed to hide procedures behind intentionally unclear language. Let's spread this message because most people have no idea this is happening.
This is crazy.
So
Wow.
giant mutant sewer rats have been found in major cities all across America, and they are pretty hard to kill. According to studies, this is because of the poison that people are using to try and kill them during infestations. Instead of the poison killing the rats, they are now becoming tolerant to it, which is making them a lot stronger. 5 out of 6 rounds have a very specific gene mutation that makes them more immune to these types of poisons. And if you guys have ever dealt with rats before, they are pretty damn hard to kill, so now they're going to be even much harder to kill. Which is not good because rats are a giant health risk and have been known to cause quite a lot of plagues. And unfortunately, this might get worse over the next couple of years because they're in major parts of America. So if you see one, don't use poison, use a goddamn flamethrower.
Want to know one of the weirdest
Use a bomb.
foods ever linked to immune strength and longevity? Chicken feet. Yes, the thing most
Man, we like chicken feet over here.
Western cultures throw out. Meanwhile, traditional cultures have been using them medicinally for centuries. Why? Because chicken feet are almost pure collagen, gelatin, glycine, and connective tissue with nutrients. The exact raw materials your body uses to build skin, joints, cartilage, gut lining, even blood vessels. And here's the bizarre part. Researchers now believe glycine, one of the main amino acids in collagen, may actually help regulate inflammation, sleep quality, detoxification, and biological aging itself, meaning the grossest part of the chicken may actually be one of the most regenerative. This is why bone broth became popular, but traditional cultures went further. They ate the actual connective tissue, the feet, the tendons, the skin, because they understood something modern nutrition forgot. The parts of the animal closest to decay are often the parts richest in repair nutrients. If you found this helpful, make sure to follow for more daily insights just like this.
He's not lying.
Fidel Castro is pure Iranian ancient bloodline, and he's directly descended from Pope Paul III. He is from the papal nobility family, and he's from the Dukes of Castro. And Pope Paul III had 3 sons, and he gave each of them a dukedom. The Duke of Castro, the Duke of Piacenza, and which is a city in northern Italy. That's where Castro's father was born.
And you've done the genealogies.
Absolutely.
So far, these people have been very good in veiling the truth and hiding it because the Rockefellers own the University of Chicago. The Russell Trust runs Yale University. All these bloodlines control information, scholarship, and every single aspect, and sciences, of course, almost every single aspect of our lives that shape our world.
And if you go back some more into the Bible, you will also find mention of a global genocide. And so this is basically the Jesuit embrace, enfold, extinguish. It's the secret history of the Jesuits.
A Harvard-educated physician figured this out in 1941, and medicine still hasn't caught up. Dr. Joel Goldthwait was an orthopedic surgeon who spent his entire career documenting what happens to the human body when we lose structural integrity. His conclusions were not subtle. Body misalignments compress your organs, restricts your blood supply, and irritates your autonomic nervous system, and produces the chronic diseases we spend billions treating, with almost nothing being done to prevent it. 3 things happen when your posture collapses. Number 1, your organs drop out of position. The stomach, kidneys, intestines, and colon all depend on spinal alignment to stay where they belong. When the spine goes, these organs go with it. Number 2, the aorta, the artery supplying your abdominal organs, gets compressed. Your liver, spleen, and pancreas lose blood supply. Then the metabolism slows and your organs become toxic. Number 3, your nervous system never turns off. Chronic structural stress keeps the fight or flight response activated, and cortisol stays elevated. Testosterone and other sex hormones drop. The entire hormonal environment shifts. Dr. Goldthwait documented all of this in a 316-page clinical text published in 1941. I studied this work early in my career, and it is the clinical foundation for everything that I do as a health coach. Comment posture below if you want to fix your posture from the inside out.
Enoch tells you that the first generation Nephilim would only live for 500 years, and that they were to kill each other off in a massive civil war that their parents had to watch. This 500-year civil war that Enoch writes about is what the Greeks later stylized what became known as the Clash of the Titans. When they were killed off in the Civil War, their spirits went out and became wandering spirits. They lost their physicality. They're looking for bodies again. In this state, they were and are demonic entities. So what happened next? I believe they started this process of the genetic manipulation that we read about in Joshua 4:18 and Jubilee 7:24. They started to create host bodies for their spirits to go into. And those animal-human chimera may have been similar in characteristics to their fathers.
That's why they used to wrap babies in linen, because they noticed that when they wrapped babies in linen, the babies would actually stop crying, and they would also no longer be irritable in any way, because they realized the frequency of linen was so high that it was actually interfering with the baby's biofield. And so the linen was actually raising the baby's frequency so high that the baby would no longer experience negative emotions that are only associated with the lower frequencies, such as sadness. But they also realized that linen emits light frequency, which can also interfere with an individual's biofield, which would then instantaneously heal that individual. And this is another reason why hospitals used linen sheets in the 1800s before the Rockefellers took over, because they wanted the patient out as quick as possible, and they understood that frequency was the key to everything. So they then used linen sheets and copper cups, because they knew that linen was the king of all fabrics with the highest frequency, which would then create a harmonizing effect on any individual. So if you've ever wondered why they remove linen sheets, it's because they found something out about linen they don't want you to know about.
Wakey, wakey, listen to this former CIA agent.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load. Again, children who have no documentation. It's not just child slavery or child sex abuse. It's also child torture, because you have adrenalized blood. You have the whole blood drinking ceremony of the satanic world. It's also the use of children for harvesting body organs. We'll have the Falun Gong testimony tomorrow. One of the reasons that the Falun Gong are so popular is because they're so healthy. So that you can harvest their body organs and get the very best. And then you have ritual ceremonies and ritual murder, as well as incidental murder. I have been a spy. I'm out from undercover. I'm under a lifetime secrecy agreement. I absolutely tell you without doubt, I have no secrets that I can remember. If when I go to Iran soon, they can torture me, there's nothing there for them to get. I have found in my research and preparation for this court and all of the work that will follow that most organizations that end up being used to prey on children, Oxfam is a recent example, all of the United Nations organizations, the Boy Scouts of America, all of the child services agencies across the United States of America, they did not start out as organizations to prey on children, but they attract pedophiles. And ultimately, pedophiles end up rising in the ranks and controlling those organizations, so that an organization that initially started out in the service of children becomes an organization that is in fact hunting children. The elite appear to be seeking to infect local and provincial law enforcement officers with a taste for pedophilia. There appears to be a very deliberate attempt to push this interest in pedophile movies, including movies that include bestiality. I'm very concerned because we're seeing some snuff movies now, and we're seeing some movies in which military war dogs are raping children, including toddlers. And these movies may have come out of the American occupation of Afghanistan and the boredom of U.S. Army and Marine Corps troops, where in Afghanistan, pedophilia is common.
Don't shoot the messenger. Oh,
that is
they
crazy.
already did. This man, Robert David Steele, is dead. Share this video and join our tribe. Let's smoke out these.
When you think about China, you think about Mei Ling. But why they chop these noses off? China's main god was black, right? If y'all don't know, there's a lot of what they call so-called black, right? There's a lot of black Chinese. A lot of these families, there's history of the Moors. Even though all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and we can't just be saying, I know a lot of us say, well, we was the Moors, we was this, we was that. It's a lot of our skin color that was selling us out and putting us in slavery and all type of shit, right? Making genetic species splices and shit. It's a lot of history. Cloning been real. It's been clones. So when it comes to China, them people got cloned and the original people got erased. There's a new species there. I don't care what nobody say. TikTok's all for entertainment purposes only. Because look at these ancient faces, chopped noses. Look at this, man. This is descendant of the southern Chinese style. Bro, that's a brother. You feel me? Look at him.
This is a brother.
Chinese. So
That's Cambodia,
what species
man.
is there now? Who is that there now? Even in Europe. Why is Europe all white now when there's statues of Moors everywhere? Chinese don't look like this no more. What happened? You feel me? Something happened on the land, bro. We went through a reset. A new species been here invading the planet. The ones that can't take the sun. I know it ain't about skin color, but they still a new species. I don't care what nobody say. Especially when you really do your research on them incubator babies and orphan trains. Like, what the y'all just got here? So a lot of your great-granddads just spawned here.
What you're looking at up here is a beetle shell. It's called the elytron. And if you did not know, beetles levitate. They don't fly. They levitate. Watch the wizardry of this
mockingbird too.
Of the beetle. So a moth flies exactly how you would expect, like it swims through the air. Same with flies. They fly horizontally. The beetle flaps out his levitators, jumps in the air, and hopes for the best. You don't really notice it because it happens really fast. But when they are about to take off, they flap out the elytra. Moth wings move in a wave, and fly wings move up and down, but beetle wings move side to side just to change the rotational direction that they're going. The elytra react to electromagnetic fields as small as the one that your body produces because of these guys. They're literally little vortex generators inside the shell. Inside the shell are little resonator cavities. A pulse in the cavity creates a wave that can be directed. In our antennas, we direct the beam by delaying the pulse, but the beetle has a shell that's already curved. When you face them together downwards, they create a reflection back up. This was first discovered by Viktor Grebennikov. He studied these beetles and then glued some of their wings to the bottom of a platform and created a levitating platform. You have to lay it out in a certain pattern, but he even had controls on the footboard like a 3D scooter. Now, if you're observant, you might see where he got his inspiration for this little device.
Man, Egyptian mythology love the beetle.
This can't be real. I just saw this on X. This can't be real. Tell me if I'm wrong.
In our history has stood more for God than this president. He has been unashamed to speak the word of Jesus. He's been unashamed to speak up for all faiths. And he established this commission so that we would assure Americans their religious liberty, that this great inheritance from our founding fathers would continue for another 250 years. And Mr. President, we believe this will be one of your greatest legacies, and you happen to be the perfect
just cracking her finger
president to be here in the 250th celebration. The question is, what is religious liberty? And if governments can do that, then they become God. The president spoke earlier today of the communist threat in this country. We know what communists do around the world. They remove God.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
The Yulee family is one of the largest slave-owning families in all of America. At one point, I think they had over 1,000 slaves. And then David Yulee, his father, Moses Yulee, started a Jewish utopia in Florida called the New Jerusalem. And he was also one of the world's leading anti-slavery writers. He's actually the guy who started the public education system in America.
That Rockefeller later redesigned.
Yeah.
It was redesigned to create wage slaves.
Right now, beneath the Swiss Alps, there is a tunnel that took 17 years and $12 billion to build. The opening ceremony had no engineers on stage, just a goat man, dying and rising, watched by the leaders of Europe. Ask yourself, what exactly were they celebrating? Because it wasn't the tunnel. Norway hollowed out an Arctic mountain. Switzerland has bunkers for every single citizen. The United States has facilities so deep a nuclear strike wouldn't touch them. China is building underground cities right now. These aren't theories. These are budget lines. And none of it started after a threat was announced. It started decades before any threat was named. Someone has always believed something is coming, and they never stop building. Every ancient tradition drew the same map. Above, the divine. Middle, mankind. Below, something else. To go underground in the ancient symbolic language is not to hide, it is to cross, to enter another layer entirely. So don't ask what the engineer says, ask what the symbol says, then read the prophecy. Revelation 6. The kings of the earth, the commanders, the rich, hide in caves and call to the mountains, fall on us, hide us. They are not hiding from each other, they are hiding from something coming from above. The Quran describes the same scene, a smoke covering the earth, a shaking nothing escapes, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever flees it will be returned to it. There is no tunnel deep enough, because what is coming isn't a shockwave, it's a reckoning. Here is the flip. They read the same prophecies you have access to right now, saw the same signs, and their answer was, build deeper. But not one of those prophecies ends with, and the ones in the bunkers were saved. They are spending trillions on the wrong answer, which is why they never invite you into the tunnel. Keep your eyes open.
Now, this clip is very confusing to a lot of people because they see it and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't Lady Gaga, this is Britney Spears. And that is correct. But what if I told you that Lady Gaga is actually supposedly in this video? And that is actually her right there. That guy. Apparently this is one of her alter egos. It's been publicly confirmed that this guy, Joe Calderone, is just another alter ego for Lady Gaga. But what if I told you that there is another alter ego, which is actually her real persona? Apparently, he is not actually a she, and he is named Stephen Gerblecki from St. Paul, Minnesota, which is actually kind of close to where I am, but that doesn't matter. But apparently he was brainwashed with MK Ultra at a young age to apparently spread Satanism and like strange mind controlling things in music to try and influence the youth, which might be what is going on here. Now, just to be clear, I don't think that that story about that Steven guy in St. Paul, Minnesota is actually true. I think that these Hollywood actors and performers like Lady Gaga are actually thousands of years old, and I'll show you exactly why that is. Now, there are hundreds of these examples that I'm not going to show them all to you right now because that'd just be too many. But these people who are the most powerful people in the world right now, I think actually are not fallen angels. I don't even think they're bad guys. I think that they are actually part of the Freemason organization at a very high level, 33 or even above, who have the secrets to alchemical and Gnostic knowledge that allows them to rejuvenate all of their cells in their body and then live for thousands of years. These people have probably been around since like the beginning of civilization. And I think that they are actually helping us to expose a lot of this Satanism. They put all these symbols out there, like the Illuminati stuff. And they do it so that they can get the truth to the people, even if a certain character has to be the enemy for like 20 years. Like people say, they're like, oh, Hollywood's satanic and all these actors are evil. But these guys are actually like hundreds of years old, and they're just going to play a new character in the next 20 years. So like Tom, like let's say Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, those are just like temporary titles that they've given themselves. They're playing a character. That persona is just a character that person is playing. Their real name isn't Brad Pitt. So that is what's going on. And this is really hard for people to wrap around. Their ego can't accept that this has been going on.
If you put food out in the sun, it gets dehydrated. If I put food out in the full moonlight, it gets putrefied. It putrefies really fast.
Y'all, some of the stuff that this gentleman points out about the sun and the moon is absolutely mind-blowing. Take a listen.
So it rots. It's exactly opposite. And then you can also, at nighttime, when the moon is full, you can pull out a thermometer and put it out in the light of the moon, right? And let's say, as an example, the thermometer reads 70 degrees in the full moonlight. If I put it in the shade of the moonlight, it actually gets warmer. And I pull it out, it gets colder again. So the moon's light is cold. It's not hot. So it's not reflecting the sun. It has nothing to do with the sun. That's what I mean by it's its own light. And that's a simple scientific experiment. Anybody can do it. Thermometer. I don't know if you've ever done it, but I've lived in the northern climates before. And a lot of times if I park my car under a tree, I'll come out to my windshield, to my car in the morning, and half of my windshield will be frozen and the other half won't be. It's happened many, many times, and I never really thought about it until a few years ago, and I put it all together. I'm like, wow. The reason it frosted over is because the full moon light hit that part of the windshield, and this part was underneath the tree in the shade.
So we're rotating around the Earth, the sun.
Exactly. I'm proposing to you that the sun and the moon are moving around us, just like it looks like. They are the same size, not 400 miles further, bigger, and 400 times further apart. It's very much the same. Sun and astrologically speaking, I think the moon has just as much of an impact as the sun on us. One is our conscious side, one's our unconscious side. One's gold, one's silver, one's hot, one's cold. From our perspective, the moon and the sun are the same size. From our perspective, but they tell us, science tries to tell us that we're going around the sun, and the moon's going around us. It looks like, and from our experience, it looks like the sun and the moon are different. They're the exact same size. They have power. We can feel their power. Like if you believe in astrology at all, like all of our ancestors have always believed it. They believe that the sun, the moon, and all the stars, each of the individual stars have their own power. They have their own potency that they're putting.
My head hurts.
Affecting us. So like if you're born on a particular day of the year, that's your sun sign. You're a Gemini. And then the exact day that you're born will know, okay, that's where the moon was in the sky. And then they can take a picture of the entire sky. They know exactly where all the planets were the moment you were born. And that's going to impact your entire life. All of our ancestors said the sun is masculine, the moon's feminine. I mean, we can just go on and on and on. And it makes sense. Like if you see the world like that, everything starts clicking. Like all these weird questions that we have from our perspective, from our society, are all basically they're all science questions. They're like, well, if we this and that, then and then you come up with all these weird questions. But if you just see the Earth as simple, that's how I see it. It's just very simple. Basically, what it boils down to is the sun is not the center of our galaxy. We are. The sun, the moon, all the planets are revolving around us. And not just us as a whole, but I like to tell people, like, your mom and dad told you the world doesn't revolve around you. And I like to tell them, yeah, it does, actually. It totally revolves around you. Whatever you think and believe is the world that you're going to have. Your thoughts, your perspective, the things you expect happen. We live in a magical universe.
So I want you to take a look at these 3 steaks. This is Italian steak right here. This is Argentinian steak. And here's USA, grade A, corn-fed beef. What do you see? You're on. Well, why don't these 2 steaks have that? Because they're corn-fed. These guys are grass-fed. Okay, the Argentinian from the Mendoza Valley, they got grass. They got place for pasture, okay? It used to take 18 months in this country to go from birth to slaughter. Today it takes 6 weeks. This is metabolic syndrome. The cow has metabolic syndrome. We just kill the cow before it gets sick. That's happening to you.
This random old lady's account was just one of the most weirdest, fascinating things I've come across today. I couldn't really tell you what her account was about, but every single video she posts, there's a hashtag, and it's titled Project Dupa.
Dupa.
I don't know if this is a CIA project or some sort of weird occult being formed, but one thing is for sure that this lady, someone's grandma, is really onto something, bro. You can follow them right here if you want to see their stuff, and if you rock with this type of content, follow for more.
This man explains how you could be eating your own children without even knowing. Have a listen.
I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood and we mix it with a Passover blood, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat their children for lunch, and us Jews, we gotta do what we do. We send your kids to the public school. We even have you tax yourself from your property so that you never own your property. And so if you don't make your property tax, we're going to take your property. You can bet on that. And we have you put your kid in a 12-year babysitting is about all it does, because you don't learn anything. And then by that time, the kids, they get to be teenagers, and then we give them the music. Not that we really want to call it music, because oy vey, that's not music. But they listen to that, and then they want to do what they want to do, and so we sell them drugs, and we make a lot of money off your children. Your children from cradle to grave. All we do is make money off of them. Your cattle, your goyim, the human cattle. Mazel tov.
Celine Dion confesses on the deathbed, I ate children to stay alive. Now I'm dying. And in this article it says, I ate children to stay young and now I'm dying. Those are the chilling words spoken by Celine Dion. Do you guys understand that the Epstein stuff? It's real satanic stuff. They ate children and now they have to suffer. Now they have to suffer for what they've done. She has this kuru stuff and it eats you from within, which is really weird. They found it in Papua New Guinea the first time. So if you're a cannibal, you're gonna be eaten. If you eat yourself, you're gonna be eaten from inside, basically. This is what it does. So you see Hollywood, it's the end of the demonic, it's the destruction of the demonic empire, really. And we are ushering in Christ consciousness. The King of the Kings and the Lord of the Lord. Here we go, because the demonic structures are dying and they're not coming back. And now, soon, we're going into the new earth, the Christ consciousness, as they call in the new age, the King of the Kings and the Lord of the Lords, the one and only.
Have the baby take 3.125 milligrams of iodine. This is cool. It increases the baby's IQ above the mother's IQ on average of 10 to 15 points. They're getting kids whose mothers do this that are menses. And they're just showing up out of nowhere in areas that these school systems, we're not talking at Cape Canaveral. We're not talking Oak Ridge. We're not talking at Huntsville, rocket scientists. We're talking country folk that are doing it. Their kids are turning out menses. And so it's huge.
Wow. This is where it gets even more crazy. Does fluoride displace iodine in the body? Oh, yes, it does. Does fluoride lower children's IQ? Oh, yes, it does. And it's dose dependent. The more fluoride exposure, the lower the IQ. Keep in mind there are other things aside from tap water that contain fluoride. If I was serious about protecting my child's IQ, I would be removing fluoride with natural minerals, and I would be supplementing with iodine. Not medical advice.
This tech company, they have officially invented an artificial egg that can fertilize through DNA a living chicken. It has no mother or father. It doesn't come from a real egg. It is purely a creature of science, and it was just born. It was just hatched. And they're doing this because they want to raise an extinct bird called the South Island giant moa. So this is what the artificial egg looks like. It runs at room temperature and fits inside a regular incubator, and apparently they want all sorts of birds. They want to save all the birds. They're big on birds.
Cannibalism
Have we not learned from Jurassic Park?
Is not illegal in the United States with the exception of one state.
What?
The only state in the United States where cannibalism is illegal is the state of Idaho.
Idaho?
Are you kidding me?
No.
I am not leaving my house today.
White people have always indulged in cannibalism. They ate their slaves, and they ate black people that were free after the Emancipation Proclamation, after lynchings.
The amygdala found it was God's original parasite killer. Wow. The Hunzas don't have parasites. I don't have parasites. I eat 40 apricot seeds a day.
Okay, here's some other stories about ivermectin and, what is it, fenbendazole?
Fenbendazole, absolutely. Fenbendazole and ivermectin are parasite killers.
Right.
Is a deficiency disease. Parasites attack people that are deficient. If you have a bad immune system, parasites attack. So absolutely, fenbendazole and ivermectin kill those parasites. But if you don't solve the underlying deficiency problem, it'll just come back.
Right.
We have studies, NIH studies, that say that apricot seeds, the amygdala found it was God's original parasite killer.
Wow.
The Hunzas don't have parasites. I don't have parasites. I eat.
How do you eat them? Like raw?
The apricot seeds a day. So absolutely, fenbendazole and ivermectin are pharmaceutical drugs that kill parasites.
Right.
But hey, let me tell you, apricot seeds, whole lot cheaper. 1,500 seeds for $37. Putting 10 a day into your life kills the parasites before they ever get your body's immune
10 a
system to
day?
where they can start attacking you.
Wow.
So yes, fenbendazole, ivermectin, great. Don't want to say anything bad about it, but they're pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
God created the seed of the fruits, apples, apricots, peaches, lima beans, millet, barley, sorghum, molasses. All of these have B17 in them, but we don't eat them anymore.
Yeah. Well, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And why are you screaming, man?
If you think about how crazy it is that Mexico speaks Spanish, that's so far away from Spain. They all speak Spanish and they're Catholic. Gee, where do you think that happened? Cortez. Yeah. That motherfucker showed up in the 1500s with like 600 dudes and 12 muskets. He was a boss. And they took over the whole fucking country. Like, if you think about all these years later, they all speak Spanish now. Yeah. That's nuts.
The rich elite drink raw milk and eat raw meat, and we know this because of the Epstein files. In this file right here, we can see Jeffrey Epstein's personal doctor recommending him to feed raw cow's milk or raw goat's milk instead of commercial formula to a child, because commercial formula is garbage. In this other file, we can see Jeffrey Epstein's personal doctor prescribing him to eat raw egg yolks and raw butter. And then in this file right here, we can see Jeffrey Epstein prescribing someone to put room temperature meat on the bruising around their eyes in order to heal it. It is only you, the normie goyim cattle, who have been convinced into thinking that raw meat and raw milk is bad for you, so that you can remain weak and never become rich and intelligent like the elites. Full video on my YouTube channel where I talk about Epstein's experience with raw meat and raw milk.
In 1971, they discovered a 12th century Templar ship that had sunk on the southern coast of Newfoundland in 1971. They went scuba diving for that ship, and after 5 dives, they found it in 35 feet of water, and it's still there. In 1977, they discovered a tomb where the navigator of that 12th century mission is buried. Their navigator was named Altamara. She was a woman that they picked up in Denmark back in 1178. Bill Jackson is the one that purchased this document. In 1994, Bill Jackson realized that he was dying from arterial sclerosis and Parkinson's disease, so he sold this Templar document to the Vatican. In 1971, they discovered a 12th century Templar ship that had sunk on the southern coast of Newfoundland in 1971. They went scuba diving for that ship, and after 5 dives, they found it in 35 feet of water, and it's still there. In 1977, they discovered a tomb where the navigator of that 12th century mission is buried. Their navigator was named Altamara. She was a woman that they picked up in Denmark back in 1178. Bill Jackson is the one that purchased this document. In 1994, Bill Jackson realized that he was dying from arterial sclerosis and Parkinson's disease, so he sold this Templar document to the Vatican.
All right. Thank you for staying till the end, folks. Hope you like my lineup. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, likes, hype, and hit the bell notification so you won't miss my next video. Have an awesome day, and always, God bless.